The Office of the Ombudsman speaks up on ending its probe into the alleged undeclared wealth of President Rodrigo Duterte. Solicitor General Jose Calida said this week the Ombudsman terminated its investigation on the case filed by Senator Sonny Trillanes as early as November last year. In a statement, the Ombudsman says the Anti-Money Laundering Council refused to cooperate to confirm or provide a report on requested vital data. Calida questioned the Ombudsman's failure to disclose the decision to the public, but Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales says she also only knew about the case termination last January. President Duterte urges solidarity among Filipinos and Chinese in celebrating the Lunar New Year. In a message, the president underscores the country's enduring friendship and the long and colorful history with the Chinese. The president hopes the occasion will, quote, strengthen our sense of solidarity and goodwill as a single nation committed to the preservation of the multifaceted Filipino heritage. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello orders the recall of the country's welfare officer in Kuwait for failing to act on the case of Joanna de Mafelis. Our AZ Nichols tells us more.
In a letter of explanation, Overseas Worker Welfare Officer Maria Sara Concepcion said that it's impossible for her to accommodate all requests for assistance from Filipinos working in Kuwait or their families. She said this is why she failed to act promptly on the case of Joanna de Mafelis, the overseas Filipino worker who was found dead in a freezer in Kuwait. For Labor Chief Silvestre Bello, this is totally unacceptable. He has ordered Concepcion's removal from her post.
Masyado na maraming trabaho. Palagay ko dahil sa good explanation. Kung hindi mo kaya, umalis ka.
The labor chief earlier demanded an explanation from Concepcion and labor attaché in Kuwait, Alejandro Padaen, following claims by the de Mafelis family that their case was ignored. Padaen, in his response, explained he assumed his post 3 weeks after his office received the de Mafelis case in February 7, 2017. He added the case had been referred to Concepcion by his predecessor.
I still have to find out whether his explanation is reasonable or not. Kasi bago nga naman.
Prior to the de Mafelis case, 7 other Filipino housemaids were reported dead in Kuwait. President Duterte had lashed out at Kuwait and ordered the issuance of a total ban on the deployment of Filipino workers to the Gulf state. Kuwait's Foreign Affairs Minister condemned the move and said this could damage ties between the two countries. But Bello says the welfare of Filipino workers takes priority.
Lagay niya ang sarili niya doon kay presidente natin. Makita mo yung isang national mo pinaplansya o kaya isang national mo ginagawang ice cream. I think he would also act the same way that our president acted.
Bello said he met with Kuwait's ambassador to the Philippines, who expressed a sense of urgency in pushing through with the signing of a memorandum of agreement that will give Filipino workers greater protection in Kuwait. He is hopeful the deal will be signed sooner than later. There are 136,000 documented overseas Filipinos working in Kuwait. He added the signing of the deal could lead to the lifting of the ban on workers' deployment to Kuwait.
She suffered grave abuse and worse, was put in a freezer. Joanna de Mafelis is left for Kuwait to be a domestic helper in 2014. Her family describes her as ambitious and hopeful, but after a short phone call in 2016, Joanna became silent. And just earlier this month, the government confirms Joanna was found dead, cold in Kuwait. CNN Philippines is learning more about her gruesome death through the country ambassador to Kuwait, Renato Villa. He says Joanna de Mafelis was beaten several times, suffered broken ribs, internal bleeding, and contusions and trauma before she died.
Ayon sa record ng immigration dito, umalis ng bansa yung mag-asawa noong November 2016 pa, at bago sila umalis ay nag-file sila ng report sa immigration din na tumakas daw sa kanilang bahay si Joanna. Yun ay isa nilang ginawa para siguro pagtakpan yung kanilang ginawang krimen. Ang sabi ng mga otoridad at malamang talagang nandun siya since November 2016 dahil pinapadlock yung apartment na tinitirhan ng mag-asawa.
The Foreign Affairs Department says the body of Joanna de Mafelis will return to the Philippines on Friday morning. It will be flown the next day to her hometown in Iloilo. CNN Philippines put newsmakers on the record to get to the bottom of the OFW issue. Among the key people we spoke to, labor rights advocate Toots Ople. She says it's unfortunate how some Filipino workers abroad are treated as slaves.
They don't see the mother in that person. They don't see that this is a human being with children who love her. In the case of Joanna, with a family that has nurtured her through the years. They just see a slave, a commodity, someone that they bought. They are deprived of their right to the universal principles of human rights, no? Minsan even the right to a living wage, a decent wage. Maraming instances delayed yung sweldo rin ng ating domestic workers. The right to have a day off, the right to possess their own identification and travel documents. Maraming rights na ba-violate, ano? But yung intrinsic right lang ba na you are treated as a person, as an equal, not as a possession.
The situation is bizarre. Considering the times, it has changed already so much. Pagkatapos, we just expose our kababayans to a treatment like this. I mean, kung minsan nga nagugulat ako na gusto pa na, what do we want? You see a president na nagde-declare ng ban. Why? Do we want him to be chummy-chummy with a situation like this? Sinaktan, binugbog, duguan, bali ang paa. What do we do? This is just a natural reaction of a father of a nation.
We are just hours away from Chinese New Year, and we're still monitoring the festivities of Filipino-Chinese community in Manila as they prepare to usher in the Year of the Earth Dog. Our correspondent Anjo Alimario is still in Binondo, home to many Filipino-Chinese families. Anjo, how are the celebrations there?
Yes, Cherry, 3 hours to go before Chinese New Year, and people keep flocking here to welcome the Year of Earth Dog. And we're actually here in front of the Lucky Chinatown Mall where the countdown will happen later. A set of artists will perform later, including Bamboo, and Manila Mayor Joseph Estrada is also expected to join the countdown later. Now, of course, many Filipinos celebrate Chinese New Year with hopes of attracting good spirits for them to be given prosperity and luck, as well as closer ties with their families and peace of mind. And if you are planning to take part in some of the Chinese practices, well, you can do so here inside the mall. The mall actually has set up 8 lucky ritual stations. You have, among others, wishing tree. You also have ringing of gong. You also have lighting of first incense, among others. Now, if you're planning to find lucky charms, well, you would have a hard time here in Binondo. There are a lot of choices for you. They come in different shapes and sizes, and boxes of tikoy or sweet rice cake sell like hotcakes here in Binondo right now. Of course, tikoy is known as a traditional Chinese dish eaten during Chinese New Year. And of course, it symbolizes the bond of families eating together. And we also saw earlier performances, dragon dance performances in malls and banks. And mall owners handed them ang pao or red envelopes with money inside. And we also saw small children actually performing their own version of dragon dance. And it's actually quite interesting to see them showing Filipino creativity with their own use of improvised props. Now, a grand fireworks display will cap off the celebration here in Binondo later here in Manila. Now,
Disaster response frontliners held today the year's first nationwide earthquake drill. It's an annual exercise for the public to prepare for a major disaster. George Cahiles tells us how it went in Quezon City.
We're here at the Quezon Memorial Circle in Quezon City. This is one of the areas where the government's drill on a nightmare scenario is being carried out. A 7.2 magnitude earthquake hitting Metro Manila and nearby areas, also known as the Big One. A study states that around 35,000 people might die and thousands others may be injured if the West Valley Fault will move strongly in densely populated Metro Manila. Now, this earthquake drill is being carried out every quarter of the year since 2006. This is for the people to know what to do in preparation and during an earthquake scenario and other hazards.
Nakakatakot po kasi ang daming building na matutumba po at kailangan pong paghandaan talaga yung darating na lindol po. Kung may kit po kami, tubig, ulat ng gamot, flashlight, tapos may number po ako sa anak ko at sa asawa ko at may isa po kaming lugar na pwede kami doon magkita-kita.
This is also a way to test the government's preparedness to respond to this particular earthquake scenario, the interoperability of various government agencies as well as private volunteer groups utilizing all their assets, sea, land, and air.
We should always be trying to improve our systems and processes. Kaya kailangan natin ito na palagi natin ginagawa.
Simultaneous yung occurrence ng iba't ibang mga incidents dito, sabay-sabayan. So, kailangan everybody will contribute. Ito mga drills na ginagawa natin dito, every time meron tayong natututunan. After this, magkakaroon tayo ng critic kung saan lahat ng mga comments ay kukunin natin and then we will improve more.
No one can really predict as to when the earthquake will happen. That's why it is important for the people to have a proper knowledge on what to do to prevent loss of properties, even lives.